Ben Beecken with Locked On Wolves here. The Minnesota Timberwolves have pulled off a trade today. According to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, the Wolves have traded Juancho, Hernangomez, and Jarrett Culver to the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for point guard Patrick Beverley, who the Grizzlies had just acquired from the Clippers earlier this week. And from a basketball perspective, this is a steal of a trade for the Timberwolves. They're trading two guys who are going to be on the outside looking in to the rotation in exchange for one of the league's best backup point guards, best defensive point guards, somebody who shot, Beverly's a career 38+% three-point shooter, shot 39% or better each of the last 4 seasons from deep, and he's a perfect fit for the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves needed 3 things. They needed toughness, they needed outside shooting, they needed perimeter defense. Patrick Beverley provides all of those things in spades for the Wolves, and they're trading 2 guys that weren't going to be in the main rotation. Yes, it hurts to cut bait on the former number 6 overall pick just 2 years into his career in Culver, but a sign of a good front office is to admit their mistake and move on. Juancho Hernangomez was just re-signed last offseason. There was the awkward situation with Team Spain in this year's Olympics with the Wolves not allowing Hernangomez to play after he injured his shoulder. And the optics aren't great, but the Wolves admitted 2 mistakes. They moved on. They moved on from 2 guys that weren't going to be in the rotation and acquired a player who's going to bring toughness, defensive intensity, defensive skill, and perimeter shooting to the Timberwolves, and also fill that backup point guard role behind D'Angelo Russell. This is a slam dunk trade for the Wolves, and it fills out the roster in a perfect way. For more on the Wolves, make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Wolves wherever you listen to podcasts.
The summer of wheeling and dealing continues for the Memphis Grizzlies, as this time, less than 48 hours after trading for Patrick Beverley, the Grizzlies now move him on to Minnesota in exchange for forwards Jarrett Culver and Juancho Hernangomez. The key here to this trade for the Grizzlies, in my opinion, clearly is Culver. Juancho Hernangomez's future with the Grizzlies certainly will, I think, be determined in the coming days. Maybe he's waived, maybe he's traded in another move. But the key here is Jarrett Culver. In 2019, the Grizzlies traded Mike Conley and then built off their return from that trade to really gain a bevy of future assets. And that's now what the Grizzlies have done with the Jonas Valanciunas trade in 2021. Taking pieces that don't have long-term futures in Memphis and turning them into intriguing pieces that could have long-term futures here in Memphis. In Culver, the Grizzlies get another intriguing wing piece that they can bring into their now very highly thought of development system to see if they can make the most of having multiple years of control on his talent. I mentioned before this offseason started that to complement the young depth of talent they have in the backcourt to support Ja, as well as the young talent they have in the front court to support Jarrett, a big focus for this Grizzlies team was finding multiple options on the wing that could be highly intriguing for the future. They drafted Zaire Williams with the 10th pick in the 2021 draft. They've now traded for Jarrett Culver. The Grizzlies have accomplished exactly that. There's now some roster balance, and another successful move on the margins for Zach Kleiman and the Grizzlies front office certainly could pay off huge dividends down the line. We'll have this and much more on the latest edition of the Locked On Grizzlies podcast.